New Year's Eve. It is a global ritual. A psychological threshold where we convince ourselves that when the clock strikes midnight, the slate is wiped clean. We celebrate the passage of time, looking forward with hope. But there is a darker side to this liminal space between the years. For some, the final moments of December 31st do not mark a celebration, but the beginning of a horror story that has no ending. Tonight, we are looking at real cases where the festive atmosphere was shattered by inexplicable intrusions, baffling disappearances, and phone calls that should never have happened. These are the New Year's Eve encounters that remain unsolved. Our first case takes us to the quiet suburbs of Setagaya, Tokyo. It is arguably one of the most disturbing home invasion cases in modern history, not just because of the violence, but because of the bizarre behavior of the intruder. It was December 30th, 2000. The Miyazawa family father, Mikio, mother Yasuko, and their two young children, Nina and Rei, were preparing for the new year. They lived in a duplex right next to a park. By all accounts, a happy, normal family. But on the morning of December 31st, Yasuko's mother, who lived next door, found the phone line dead. When she went to check on them, she walked into a slaughterhouse. All four family members had been brutally murdered. But what makes this case truly the stuff of nightmares is what the killer did after the violence stopped. Evidence shows the intruder did not flee into the night. Instead, he stayed. For hours, he remained in the house with the bodies of the family he had just destroyed. He went into the kitchen and ate 4 cups of ice cream. He drank their barley tea. He went through their documents, sorting them into piles. He even used the family computer. Logs show he surfed the internet twice, once around 1:18 a.m. and again at 10 a.m. the next morning. He was looking up theater tickets. He stayed in that house, comfortable, while the New Year's sun rose over Tokyo. He left behind a mountain of evidence, including the knife, his clothes, and even his own blood. Yet over 2 decades later, the faceless intruder of Setagaya has never been identified. He simply walked out into the broad daylight of New Year's Eve and vanished. While the Miyazawas met a brutal end inside their home, our next case involves a disappearance in the crush of a public celebration. We move to New Zealand, to the Marlborough Sounds, for the dawn of 1998. Ben Smart, 21, and Olivia Hope, 17, were celebrating New Year's Eve at Furnell Lodge, a historic resort accessible only by boat. The atmosphere was electric. Thousands of young people were partying on yachts and on the shore. As the night wound down, around 4 a.m. on January 1st, Ben and Olivia were looking for a place to sleep. They had missed their ride back to their own chartered yacht. They were seen boarding a water taxi. On that taxi was a man, a stranger who has become the ghost at the center of this mystery. The water taxi driver dropped the 3 of them off at a double-masted ketch moored in the harbor. Ben and Olivia boarded the stranger's boat to get some sleep. They were never seen again. The following day, police launched a massive search. They were looking for a distinctive 2-masted ketch described by witnesses. But despite hundreds of sightings reported, the boat and the couple had evaporated. The police eventually focused on a local man, Scott Watson, who was convicted of their murders, but the case remains fiercely controversial. Watson's boat did not match the description given by multiple witnesses. The mystery man described on the water taxi, unkempt, with a specific look, was never positively identified as Watson by everyone. Many believe the real killer sailed away that morning into the open ocean, taking Ben and Olivia with him. To this day, their bodies have never been found, and the 2-masted ketch remains a ghost ship in the annals of New Zealand crime. Finally, we travel back to 1959, to Osprey, Florida. The Walker family murders. This case chills investigators because of the sheer efficiency and the terrifying timeline. Cliff and Christine Walker, along with their 2 young children, were living on a farm. On December 19th, they were all alive. But as Christmas passed and New Year's approached, silence fell over the house. It wasn't until December 20th that the crime was discovered, but the timeline suggests they were watched. On the day of the murders, Christine had been raped and shot. Cliff was shot. The children were drowned. But here is the detail that haunts this cold case. Evidence suggests the killers, and police believe there were 2, had invaded the home and waited. There were signs that they had made themselves at home, much like the Setagaya case years later. But nearly 50 years later, new information surfaced regarding the chaotic Smith and Hickok duo, the killers made famous by Truman Capote's in Cold Blood. Police found records placing them in Florida at the exact time of the Walker murders. They had even repaired their car at a garage nearby. A polygraph administered to Hickok years prior showed deception when asked about the Walker family. Yet, because they were executed for the Clutter family murders in Kansas, they were never charged for the Walker killings. Did the most famous killers in American literary history commit a second massacre that New Year's season? Or was it someone else? Someone who watched the house from the Florida scrub, waiting for the lights to go out? New Year's Eve is a time when we look for closure. We say goodbye to the past. But for the families of the Miyazawas, Ben Smart, Olivia Hope, and the Walkers, the clock is stuck at 11:59. The champagne has gone flat, and the answers are nowhere to be found. As you prepare to ring in the new year, lock your doors. Watch who is watching you. And remember, sometimes the old year doesn't want to let go. Thanks for watching Dark TV.